Okay, guys, we'll get cracking. So welcome to the podcast. I think we've actually started a few seconds early today. Normally ends up being a few seconds past, or maybe even a few minutes past 7 o'clock by the time we get sorted, but I'll make it a few seconds before. So this podcast is the first time we've had more than one, I was going to say more than one person on, that's not true. Last week there was 3 of us on in total, 2 interviewers interviewing me. It's the first time we've had 2 guests on in Phil and Angela, the first time we've interviewed a couple. So firstly, good evening, Phil and Angela. How are you guys today?
Yeah, evening, John, evening all.
Good, thanks. How are
good.
you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, good. I enjoyed getting a bit of sun today. What have you guys been up to?
Today we've been jobbing, gardening, just working on little projects and stuff like that, really, keeping ourselves busy.
Planted my 24 tomato plants out in the garden.
24? Awesome.
I'm hoping we might get one salad.
When are we likely to get tomatoes from them? How long does it take to get to tomato stage?
I have no idea.
Is it this season, next season? I don't know.
2 months.
Oh, it'll be this year.
Yeah, this year. Maybe July, August time. I really don't know if I'm being honest. I've been growing them for 2 months. So
exciting stuff. Cool. So taking a bit of a step backwards then. Remind me, how long have you guys been members for now?
Just over 2 years.
I thought it'd be about 2 years, yeah. Wow. Time flies, doesn't it?
2 years ago that we finished the challenge.
Yeah.
Would have been started.
Yeah.
So obviously, prior to the 2 years that we've known you, there's a number, 21, is it, of years of additional history there. So let us know a little bit about yourselves before we met you.
In terms of sort of like the fitness side of things, I've always been actively into fitness, but never taken it kind of to the level that we've done in the last couple of years. So I used to play rugby, I'd mountain bike for years, cycled, like our winter sports and stuff like that. But in terms of that's really our hobbies, and that was the main reason for us joining the academy, was to help with our sports, really. That's it, Angela.
Yeah, on and off fitness throughout my whole life, I'd say. I've had a love-hate relationship. I've never really sustained a gym membership for any amount of time. I don't normally like gyms, and I like doing outdoor sports. So I've done, military fitness and those kind of things. Again, big into biking, bit of running, skiing, but probably nothing consistent ever, apart from biking, mountain biking. Yeah. But even skiing's only once or twice a year. So, if it was every day, I'd probably, would I lose interest? I don't know. But to have 2 years solid at the gym, and to be on average, I don't know what, 4 times a week, it's just first time ever in my life.
So when you tried gyms before in the past, what sort of things had you tried there? It was like a standard gym program given by a gym instructor, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've probably done the whole range, John, from the spit and sawdust gyms with mates, basically doing just weights and stuff. And again, because I guess I need structure, and that's why I think the academies work for me, because sometimes I used to go to the gym, think, what am I going to do? And I never had the clear structure that you have. And I think as you get older as well, don't get me wrong, I like the value of weights and what they can add and how they make me feel in terms of my strength and how it aids my fitness. But in terms of, just lifting big weights for the sake of it, that's kind of passed me by from a physique point of view. So I've done those kind of gyms, and I've also been to your David Lloyd's and your Fitness Firsts. Great at first with all the running machines and the fancy machinery, but I used to get bored. Yeah.
They give you a program, don't they? And then you go around, you bit of paper, and you're like, oh yeah, done that. 10 minutes on the treadmill, and you do the same. It's just dull. And classes, I've been to classes, and I've done spin classes, but I've always found them quite cliquey. You get your people that go, and you kind of want to join in. And I as much as I'm quite social at the academy, I'm also quite shy, which people probably don't realise. I can imagine Pat would be peeing herself if she heard me say that right now. But I am quite shy, and I don't naturally go into a group and just make friends with people. So I always kind of felt when you did these classes, I was always sort of on the edge, and then you're like, I don't like it, I'm not going to go there anymore. Don't get that at the academy at all. Like, made some people that I'd call friends there. I've never done that anywhere before either.
Awesome. So how did you guys first hear about the academy?
It was me, actually. I think we've both also had our struggles with weight for our entire lives, very much yo-yo dieting up and down. And I think we were up and we'd been up for a bit, and I was looking for something new, a new fad, a new challenge. And, you know, you sign up to these things. We've done keto, we've done Slimming World, I've done Weight Watchers, I've done, I don't know, cabbage diets, anything possible, turmeric with lemon juice and green tea and all sorts of crap. And I know, honestly, I've eaten and drank some really awful things. And I saw an advert actually on Facebook, and I said to Phil, do you fancy this? And I think I sent an email, and Matt responded, and I just came down on the off chance and came back, and Phil said, oh, I'm up for that as well. So we joined, didn't really know what to expect. Thought we'd just 2 months, lose 20 pounds, get it free, and then bugger off. Yeah. Like I think so many people say they're going to do.
Yeah.
But actually what I found was the whole setup there. And I mean, I was quite religious in doing points, you know, the bands and the progression tests, and reading the blogs, read all the blogs. Yeah. And I think the whole package together, I suddenly thought, well, hang on a minute, there's something a bit different here, which made losing 20 pounds significantly easier than it has done for a long time. What am I now? I'm 45 now. And I'm going to say the M word, which is the menopause. And some of us women, you know, you get to your early 40s, the perimenopause kicks in, and weight gain becomes a massive issue, and weight loss is not as easy as it used to be 10 years ago. Sure. So I've been struggling, and to actually lose 20 pounds that easily, it was like, Christ, what's going on here? You know, it's like there's something a bit different here. So yeah, that's it's helped a lot. And the strength training as well, and the weight. It's something I've never really done much of before. I've really enjoyed it, and I've been very inspired by not only all the coaches, because the coaches are all inspiring, but I've been inspired by everyone else that goes there as well, seeing people of all different shapes, sizes, ages. You know, it is really inspiring just to see everybody working really hard and being really passionate about going to the gym.
Yeah. I think from a bloke's point of view, John, that well, Angela's hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes you go to a gym, like say I've been to the proper bodybuilders gyms, some famous gyms as well, and there's this macho image of those kind of gyms, and I think sometimes that'll put blokes off. And then you have the opposite side of things where the academy is obviously female heavy. But for me going into there, and again being inspired from probably the first session, I think first to second, and I'm seeing Pat lifting like one of the heaviest kettlebells and thinking, crikey, do you know what I mean? And she's telling me you can lift more than that, and I'm like, right, okay. And it broke a lot of barriers as well in terms of it's a macho thing, gyms and stuff, and it isn't. And I have been completely inspired by all the coaches and all the other people, and seeing them, the progression as well. And I think because you get a new intake on a monthly basis, you see that doubt in people's mind, the nervousness, and then by the end of the 4th week, like people are like buzzing, and then obviously they're going into the second, generally they're doing the challenge, and you can just see this massive progression, and it's really good. And we all have blips, and that's the thing, and we do discuss it between ourselves. You have a blip every now and again, and people G each other up, and it's for me now, this is the longest I've been a member of the gym, and certainly the most consistent I've been. And I'd say I'm probably at the fittest I've been in my adult life, which is just over 21, like you said before, John. So that's quite some achievement. So for me, yeah, it's been I'd definitely say life changing, definitely.
Awesome. So you guys, obviously, you did the challenge, and you said there you found it relatively easy compared to what you've done in the past. what actual changes did you make? You obviously come into the sessions. What did the changes to your food? What was your food like before? What did it become like at that point?
Phil's really lucky because what Phil has is a live-in chef and nutritionist that plans all the meals and works out all the macros and cooks it and serves it. So he's quite lucky that what he's got is someone here who's completely obsessive with macros and spreadsheets. I have my own MyFitnessPal that I've built in a spreadsheet. And
I've got a blonde of the half as well who's obsessed with spreadsheets. Snap.
And basically it was just, I mean, you talk about tracking. I track a bit obsessively, actually, probably a bit too much. I'm in the extreme in the other way. But I think the biggest thing that changed for me in the academy, and like I said, we've done a lot of things, was just concentrating, not worrying too much about carbs, protein, and fat. I can remember, I think it was yourself and Matt once said, just go third, you know, roughly. Don't go too crazy. You don't need to have 200 grams of protein a day. You don't need to have 10 grams of carbs a day. Just, you know, just be moderate. And I think that was a huge change for me, because we'd been a bit obsessed about protein for a while. And I'd find that I'd come home and I haven't had my protein intake, and have a protein shake. And then, you know, that puts you at your calorie level for the day. You're not in a deficit anymore, just to get some protein in, and you're like, it's just a bit bonkers, really. So I worried less about low carbs, high protein, and more about foods that filled us up, foods that were nutritious, foods that were weren't calorie dense, and eating lots throughout the day, keeping lots of water, keeping your water intake up, and keeping the calories down. And we didn't cut anything out at all.
Nope.
We didn't cut out, we had the odd bit of cake, we had the odd ice cream, we had fish and chips once, you know, we had a few drinks here and there at the weekends. And that again is another thing. In the past I've always gone, right, you know, it's a month's diet, no alcohol, no this, no that. And we didn't do that. We just said, we can have that, but you've got to have less, and you've got to build it in. And I think we averaged it out across the 2 months, and I think the first month we weren't quite on track, so we cut significantly more, made sure that we just made those tweaks in the second month to make sure we hit the target. But we didn't get hung up on there was no secret and magic potion. And I think the other thing that I realized is sometimes you've just got to feel a little bit of pain and a bit of hunger.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you see all these adverts, you know, have some raspberry ketones and you'll lose a stone, and there's so many. I mean, there's just so many, and you just think, no, actually it's just a bit of hard work. It's about hard work, it's about adherence, it's about consistency, and it's about also understanding your own body's needs, because I can't live on 1,000 calories a day because I'm 5'7" and I've got quite a lot of muscle. So it's like, I know what I need to eat to lose weight. I know that I can lose weight on 1,800 calories, which, you know, somebody next to me can't. We're actually quite similar at our levels that we can lose weight on, which is quite handy. So it's like, if we want to lose some weight, it's like, right, well, I know this is how many calories we need to stick to, and you guys just go off and do it.
Yep.
It's not always that easy. They make it sound so easy.
That's quite useful for you there, because my spreadsheet obsessed blonde of the half doesn't have the advantage that she can consume similar amount of calories to me, because I'm 7 inches taller than her, obviously different body composition, and quite a lot more active as well. So sometimes I think, unfortunately, she falls into the trap of having similar sized portions to me, and perhaps can't get away with it. So that's useful for you guys. So obviously you had your first 2 months, you did the challenge. What was the result at the end of that?
Well, obviously we
20 pounds.
I think
each.
I achieved 21 or 22, just over, which I mean, I didn't have a huge amount to lose, but it was more as well the body fat percentage, and yeah, I think we both really pleased with that, and that then gives you the kick, you know, like we said, you know, open and honest. I think a lot of people are the same. You do the 20 pound challenge, do the 2 months, and you think, well, it's not going to cost me anything, and I'll carry on. But we just thought, well, no, we like this. But also, I think what's quite important, we still did a lot of our hobbies, and even after the first couple of weeks, the first month, certainly at my age as well, you start getting up in the morning where you've got back problems, and you when you do train, you feel that the next day your recovery's not as good. But I found that the more I did, the quicker I was recovering. And it certainly helped with a lot of our sports. With that particular year, we had a few mountain bike events, didn't we? And some big rides and stuff. And we actually competed in a big event, and it made a massive difference. Which even though we might have had like bike fitness in the past, 12 months prior to us joining, exactly, it's 12 months this week, isn't it? We actually cycled Land's End to John O'Groats. Yeah. So we were just the two of us, so we weren't unfit from cycling fitness. But when you factor in the core fitness especially, and you don't realise how much that helps you to do everything else, and certainly something like snowboarding and mountain biking, everything comes from your core, but you only really appreciate it when your core's better than it was. Things are just easier.
Yeah.
Your technique's better, you're less aches and pains, and it's more enjoyable as well.
To me, that's a massive part of it as well. It's great looking nice on a beach and all that, but you do that for maybe a week or two per year. Stuff that you do on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis, when you start to find it easier and less painful and more fulfilling, and you can do it better, the stuff that's kind of more important to you, really, that's to me much more motivating. I think it is for most people. And I think when they take that step from looking from almost like it's like the standard definition of what we need to be doing. People think that I want to lose weight for, and then list the way that everyone talks about it. And there's only so much motivation you get from that. But when you get a bit deeper on what it actually means to you, like you guys have there, and how you benefit from it on a regular basis, it becomes much more motivational. And let's take a step back as well to what you said there as well. I think that's an important balance that you mentioned before there about there's definitely a huge element of working smarter, making it as easy as possible, looking at habits and mindsets and all that. But at the same time, sometimes accepting that it is just a bit of hard work. Sometimes you need to not starve, but maybe, survive being a little bit peckish for an hour or two. I'm really trying to drill that into my kids at the moment. It's been going on for years, but the second they're hungry, they want food. And I'm like, well, tea's in 2 hours. You can wait 2 hours till tea.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. That's fine. Be hungry for 2 hours. If it's going to be hungry for 8 hours, yeah, fair enough. I'll give you a bit of extra food. But if it's hungry for 2 hours, you can manage, really.
Yeah.
Cool,
That is so true. And I used to be so obsessed with getting hungry. I was scared of being hungry, which is a really bizarre thing to say. But I'd eat before I was going out somewhere because I didn't want to, even if I wasn't hungry, because I didn't want to get hungry when I was out and make a bad choice, which isn't always the best thing to do. It's like, take something with you, or make a good choice. I don't know, there was this real obsession. And actually we did, just before we joined, we did a survival course up in Scotland, and we had was it 72 hours? 72 hours. We weren't allowed to take any food, and we pretty much had to catch what we ate, and we were living on limpets, mussels, seaweed, wild garlic. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I mean, I can go into keto quite quickly, and we were in keto. Well, I was anyway. By the end of it, but he gave you just enough. So he taught us how to, because it was a coastal one, taught us how to fish with stuff that you can find. Obviously, he gave us a fishing line. We had to make a reel and stuff. We didn't catch anything, so he had to give us a fish because we probably, he gave us just enough. But it was that starvation mode. And obviously, when your body starts, and you start, the ketosis part of it, and you think, well, I can survive. It's not pleasant, but you're not going to die if you're not eating for long periods of time. And I think that carried over, and it's probably good timing, wasn't it?
Because we went into that, and I said to myself, you're going to be hungry, and we've just got to deal with it. There's not going to be any food. You can't spend the whole time being grumpy and nangy and trying to find, a secret, I don't know, stash of chocolate somewhere. And I think after doing that, I realised, actually, do you know what? I can be hungry, and it's all right. It's fine.
I think the other one as well. Go on. Oh, sorry, it's sometimes a lot of, when you think you're hungry, you're actually dehydrated, and that was the big one. It's just like drink water, and that give it a few minutes, and that sometimes that hunger goes just with that. That's how I found works anyway.
I find being hungry sometimes a little bit like getting into a hot bath. It's hot to start with, but if you get past that first few minutes, it's all right. You get used to it. Same with being hungry. I've done a couple of fasts, a bit like you have. More really just for my own interest, just because obviously it's something I know that people sometimes do, and I thought I'd try it out and see what it's like. The longest I went was about 60 hours, 2.5 days without eating.
Whoa.
Right.
Actually, past the first half a day, I'm not saying it was easy, but it definitely got a lot easier. When I got to my first missed meal, I was hungry. My second missed meal, I was ravenous. By the next day, I was peckish, but it wasn't too bad. And by the end of it, I was really hungry at that point. But it was definitely just maybe not pushing through, but just distracting yourself and just moving on and doing something else. Not necessarily for 60 hours. It might just be 6 hours between your lunch and your tea, whereas potentially you might have ended up with a snack in the middle that might have taken you into a surplus. So over the last 2 years then, what would you say particular highlights have been? What have been things you particularly enjoyed and look back and remember?
I think for me personally, it's the fact that it's the motivational side of things. I love going to the gym. I've enjoyed actually the obviously we can't at the minute, and it's great news going forward. Certainly with the stuff that you're planning in the near future, Tuesday I think in the park and stuff, and it'll be great to see people and train with people. However, that for me it's the fact that, and apart from the occasional time where you think I don't want to get up and go, but once you're out of bed and you've made that jump, it's a lot easier. And just because I think important as well, this is the furthest gym I've ever been a member of, away from where we live, and the fact that I go so much more regularly than all the other gyms, some literally on my doorstep, it says a lot. And just the process of getting there, seeing everybody going through the same thing. We're obviously part of the 7 a.m.ers. So, in the winter, it's dark, it's cold, and it's that feeling of achievement and getting over that threshold and then training and knowing that when you leave, you're going to feel so much better. That to me is because it's changed my mindset, and I think that's the important thing that'll take forward forever. And it's just getting up, getting out. Once you're there, it's a lot easier. Just getting out of bed. Once you're out of bed, it's easy.
That's the hard bit I find, when getting out of bed when you don't really have to. So like when I have to get up to take the early sessions, that's easy because I don't really have a choice. I could in theory stay in bed, but I'd quickly lose members and income and what have you. So I don't really have a choice. Whereas when it's getting up to go for a workout, I do have a choice. I could quite easily not go, and it wouldn't really make any difference. It's that getting out of bed. And I've had plenty of times over the years where with a client, a member, whoever, it's all we've set for their goal is to get out of bed at that time. I might say, go downstairs, have a cup of tea. If you want to go straight back to bed, that's fine. But realistically, by the time you've got out of bed at that time, you're then going to go and do your workout or whatever else.
Yeah. It's a habit though for us now, I'd say. It's not, it doesn't even feel like a choice. It's like, it's what you do. You get up at 6, you go to the gym at 7, then you go to work. It's a bit different in lockdown. We're doing a lot more cycling, so we're not doing as many sessions, but that's fine because we're doing other things. But going back to your highlight, I got really into the progression test. Well, we both did really. And I have to say, getting I can't remember which one it is. Is it the advanced or the master? Which master is the one
first, then advanced, then elite.
Which is the one where you have to do a third of your body weight, a third of the
with the presses.
Yeah,
that's master.
That took me ages to get that. I got the other 2 elements quite quickly, but that took me a long time because I was having to do 2 12.5 kilo 25 times, and when I started I could only do 10, and I'm like, right, well I may as well do the whole lot and get to 25. And it took me so long, and I think the day I did it, I think Faye, I'm trying to remember who else, Kira, somebody else was in there, and I was like, they were all cheering me on, and I was like, ugh! And I got the last one out, and it was like that. I felt like that was a sense of achievement. I probably could only do 5 now if I tried it again, but at the time it was like I just worked so hard. It's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So I think that's probably like the thing that sort of sticks out the most.
Also,
other than that, consistency, just the fact that it's been so consistent. It's good.
That's some highlights there. Any particular challenges, frustrations, difficulties along the way?
I've had one little blip where I completely lost my mojo. I can't even remember when that was now. Last year, I think sometime. I just didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling it, and it was the first time, but it didn't last that long. And actually, you know, when I walked in, I spoke to a few of the 7 a.m.ers, and it was like everyone was just so lovely, and they were like, "Oh, you know, where have you been? We're missing you." And I just felt I felt missed, and I felt wanted. So it kind of got me over my little whatever was going on in my head, where I was just throwing a little bit of a tantrum and didn't want to come anymore. And it went so quick, it passed so quick that it became a non-issue. And I think, and we had one blip just under 2 years ago after we did the challenge, where I put on half of it back on, and that's the only time I've actually gone back up that much. And I just thought, don't waste what you've just worked so hard to do. And it took 3 months to go back down again, but that's the only real blip I've had. Again, with weight, it's been a little bit of that, but it's been, you know, down at the bottom rather than like that like it would normally be.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone else who's perhaps in the middle of a blip at the moment? Because I know lockdown has been a fairly elongated blip for many people.
Don't be too hard on yourself to start off with. You have to deal with what you've got going on in your life, however you need to deal with it. And sometimes just reset. Don't panic. Don't do anything drastic. Just go back to the basics, one thing at a time. I always say, maybe just start with water, then start with doing some exercise, then start with eating. Build it up one thing at a time. Don't beat yourself up, and gradually you'll get back on that track. And then you'll see yourself getting back to where you want to be, where you were. It's just about consistency and adherence. And if you start beating yourself up and having a negative mindset, you're just going to probably fail, because you just, if you're not in a positive place, you're not going to do positive things generally.
No, of course not. How have you guys generally found lockdown?
Been quite easy, John, if I'm honest. It's I've kept myself busy. You know, I think we're fortunate living in the area that we are in terms of, you know, Macclesfield. We're just more towards Congleton, but you know, we're not in an inner city, or you know, I'm assuming not everyone is. So I think at least we've got like nice views and stuff like that, and you know, just going out for a walk clears your mind. We've been quite disciplined on that, haven't we? Just having a break. And Angela, I've had to carry on working and go to work. Angela works from home, and it's just been disciplined. But because I work shift, so on my days off, I've just been keeping myself busy, just doing little projects, bit of just little things, bit of woodwork, a little bit of renovation of my vehicles, stuff like that, just to keep myself active, because it's probably a bit too easy just to do nothing and get down. So yeah, fortunate that, you know, we have kept going. Yeah, it hasn't been easy for some people, I know that.
Well, and of course, you've grown a fantastic beard there as well. So if nothing else, lockdown's given you that beard.
Yeah, so cultivating this has been it's not, that's just because I couldn't be bothered shaving initially, but it was kind of to mark the obviously the lockdown period, and it's just dragged on and on and on. So we'll see where we get to.
The first 2 weeks for me were awful. I was really down, really anxious, couldn't sleep properly. I was drinking a lot of alcohol every night. I was eating poorly. I was binging on chocolate. And there were all these behaviours actually that I haven't had for a long time. And it was a bit, I think a couple of weeks in, I just said, you've got to stop. And then I did exactly what I've just said to you. And I just said, right, one thing at a time. What do we need to do first? Start coming to the sessions. Right, what's next? Maybe look at your eating. What's next? Maybe look at your drinking. And you know, like I said, the first 2 weeks were not good. The next 2 weeks were progress. So what are we in then now? Into mid-April, and since mid-April, it's been pretty steady. But I've been working. How
did you feel then for making those changes back again? I presume felt better.
Relieved. Yeah, relieved that I was able to to get back to where I wanted to be, because I just felt awful physically, mentally, and I realized that everything was just kind of colliding and making everything else worse. So
yeah, again, I completely. If I miss a workout for just a handful of days, I immediately feel worse, and I don't drink anymore. I've not drank now since the end of last year, but I've had periods where I've missed a few workouts, drank a bit more, and straight away probably felt, I don't know, 50% worse than I did before. And I can only imagine if I'd let that then continue for a fortnight or months or years, as potentially can happen, the direction that I'd go in. And I completely get that it's hard to get back into what you might call better choices, but I think it's always worth it. Only today, like my kids, I'll be honest with you, were annoying me quite a lot the last few days. I was quite grumpy when I dropped Ollie and Jamie back off with their mum earlier. I drive past the academy on the way back, so I popped in, as I always do, check the post, let the taps run through for Legionnaire's disease, and had a workout. Also made a few little measurements for some of the stuff that's coming soon as well. But straight after my workout, I felt instantly better. But maybe not 100%, but I went from feeling maybe my mood beat at 60% to up to 75 or what have you. And it's, to me, when you accept that's a lot of the benefits from it are immediate like that, and when we stop exclusively looking at the benefits being long term, looking good in 6 or 12 months' time or living longer in decades' time, when we get a combination of that, because that still has value, but also feeling better today and tomorrow, it becomes a much easier sell to ourselves.
Yeah,
I do maintain that the kids were being annoying, though. It wasn't just me being grumpy. The kids were being annoying.
Yeah.
Bless them. Cool, so that's pretty much brought us up to date. Anything else particularly you guys think that people would benefit from hearing about your story, your experiences, any words of wisdom you could offer?
Just obviously, if you're at that stage where I guess you're thinking about, is it for me, or so I guess this is the time now where, because we're not actually attending the gym, and obviously that's changing in the near future. Just stick with it, and because obviously if it works, and it works for us, but if it works for you, just keep at it really, and look forward to the better times again when fingers crossed it returns to normal, because it does. Well, like I say, and you can speak to everyone else that have been there for a while, and the long term people that still go, they're the ones that me to say, if I can maintain it and be a member as long as they are, then I know I'm going to head in the right direction. So just stick with it, really. Definitely.
Do things enough times that they become habit as well. So, our way of eating now is just a habit. And we went on holiday in February for almost a month, and I was surprised at how different I ate on that holiday to how I've done previously. It wasn't an instant, right, I need to just pig out every day and eat and drink everything in sight. All of the choices were just so more thought through, and the things that we were choosing on the menu as well was just like, oh, I've just chosen a salad, and a bit of salmon, and it was just a bit odd. And I'd noticed everything has just become such a habit now that actually it's odd to do the bad things, and the not so healthy ways of eating is actually odd now. And we had a bit of a binge out last week. We had a bake off, and we had 3 cakes and loads of scones, and there's only 3 of us here, all this cream and jam, and we absolutely pigged out. And I just felt so bad, like physically actually ill, and I felt ill. I woke up in the night and I had cold sweats. And I just thought, I don't ever want to eat that much sugar again. It actually physically really destroyed me.
But I think that the point of that is we'd already taken into account what we were going to eat.
I planned it.
So in terms of your overall calories, we'd already planned it anyway. It was nice at the time, but afterwards,
it's horrible.
Yeah, it was. And I guess that's what your body changes when you're used to it. And we're by no means perfect and the ultimate athletes or anything like that, but we're doing all right. And we have blips, but we get back on it.
It's consistency, and it's about habit forming.
Yeah,
more than anything more.
I'd say you're closer to the athlete end of the spectrum than you are the other end, though. So I'd be pleased with that.
No, I mean, we are, and like you say, certainly the way I feel, John, physically compared to when I didn't train or I only did bits or weekend stuff and like that, it's a dramatic improvement just from getting up out of bed and not feeling like an old man, basically. It does. You know, the yoga sessions and stuff like that, they help massively, and I think because it's a variety of exercises as well, I think the overall body workout it's superb when it works for me.
I guess the other advice for people is understand what works for you. I know if I have something too carby for breakfast, it makes my blood sugar dip and then I struggle for the rest of the day. So if I have high protein, high fat for breakfast, I can generally stay fuller for longer. But that's not the same for everybody. That works for me, and I know that works for me. And so I generally would eat something, you know, high in protein and fat, and it becomes then about fuel and how I know that fuel makes my body feel throughout the day, physically and mentally, through work, or if we're going out for a really long bike ride, I know I need lots of carbohydrate and some fat and some protein. So we kind of treat we treat food a bit more like fuel rather than like food, but with the things that we like within that fuel, if that makes sense.
I think that's the key balance. It's getting both. I think if we think of food purely as fuel, it becomes a bit boring and we don't enjoy it and whatever. If we think of it purely for pleasure and taste, then perhaps it leads us down a path that's not ideal. It's getting that balance, recognizing that it is both. It's social, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but it is an element of fuel as well. It's not one or the other. It's both essentially.
I mean, I find cider is the best way to replace my glycogen after a long bike ride.
I bet. I bet you've experimented with different things just to test that theory.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. So that's brought us up to date there. Lots of interesting things there. I think a different angle for you guys in obviously being a couple, doing it together. Also compared to perhaps some of the people we've had on, you were starting from a slightly different position. I know you weren't where you wanted to be, but starting from a relatively active position compared to some people. I think it's been really interesting over the course of the last, we're on now 6 or 7 weeks, to hear different stories, because different things connect with different people. There'll be people who've taken something from this who didn't perhaps take it from other people's stories because they didn't perhaps necessarily connect to that or relate to it. So it's been hopefully really interesting. So all that remains, guys, thank you for your time. I hope everyone listening enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you all soon.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.